picks. Passer rating wasn't great. But, when you pay a quarterback $60 million, you occasionally need them to be Superman, put on a cape and be a superhero. And Dak, he is a superhero, but it feels he's like the Green Lantern, where he's officially a superhero. We're not quite sure what he does. In fact, the Green Lantern has a ring. Dak doesn't. I know. I don't know what to say. I mean, he was 2 for 5 in the red zone with 2 turnovers before the 15-play drive. I don't know what to say. It was a win. So his superpower is his EQ. And what I mean by that is Kirk Cousins, who I've said, Dak is a better athlete than Kirk Cousins. Kirk's a better thrower, but they're the same guy. You can tune into any Dak game in the third quarter, and you can watch him. And you have no idea if he's playing well or not. If Aaron throws a pick, he pouts. He's yelling at his offensive coordinator. He's ghosting guys. He goes on a personal darkness retreat. In a game, he gets sullen and dark. Dak and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Thursday, Dak Sunday night. You can't tell. It's a vanity-driven franchise with ego everywhere, expectations through the roof. He's got CeeDee Lamb barking at him, and like Dak doesn't care. Unflappable, stoic, grown-up, adult, high IQ, high EQ, and that matters a lot. Now, a lot of the great all-time quarterbacks sometimes were barkers, and they're very emotional. You can do that, but in this franchise, I could argue he is the perfect personality for what Dallas is, a noisy, vanity-driven franchise, and Dak doesn't appear to have much of an ego. He's confident without being cocky. And again, he was not good in the red zone. On the road, CeeDee Lamb started banging on Dak on the sidelines. And did Dak get into a whizzing match with him? No. He ignored him. Actually, literally ignored him in the second half and used all the B and C guys and engineered a win on the road. So it's a road win. You didn't have Micah. You didn't play particularly well in the red zone situational football. So for Dak, it's kind of what Dak does, and here he was after.
The ups, the downs, the ebbs and flows, a lot of things that Mike preaches on. 2 minutes, and for us to just stay resilient, win the game in 2 minutes. It's one of those games, I don't care how long you play, you'll never forget it. And so I just kept saying, let's make it one to remember. And I think we did that.
Now, you desperately needed to win last night because the Cowboys' schedule, this is the tough part of it. It's not early and late. Their schedule now, look at this puppy. Detroit, at San Francisco, at Atlanta, rival Philly, Houston, at suddenly great Washington. Joe Burrow is right after the Giants, and the Giants' offensive line is, we talked about this about 3 weeks ago. If you're paying attention to the Giants, their O-line, and they've drafted it and put money into it, it's good. I don't know where it ranks this morning on PFF, but that Giants O-line totally dominated Seattle. And the Dallas' D-line, again, Pittsburgh doesn't know what they're doing offensively. They're lost. The Giants is not an easy out. Really good coach, excellent D-line, excellent O-line. Giants won a game in the Pacific Northwest 3,000 miles away without Malik Neighbors or Singletary. Like that's it. So it was like Daniel.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, I think what Colin is saying is actually probably pretty accurate, right? Dak Prescott is Hawkeye, right? You know, he's not a real Avenger. He is an Avenger. He is a superhero, but like, you know, you're going to be Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, or Hawkeye, right? And it's kind of like that, the funny famous line in Hawkeye, or, you know, in one of the Avengers where he's like, dude, like there's aliens coming all over the place, and you know, and we're in the middle of the sky, and you know, I have a bow and arrow. Like none of this makes sense right now. And that's who Dak Prescott is. He's still a superhero. He can still get the job done, but he's not Thor, right? He's not Iron Man. He's not Captain America. He's not the Hulk. And I think his superpower is that he is consistently good. And I've said this, like his personality is the exact personality that you want from your franchise quarterback, right? He is the exact personality who you want to represent your franchise, your team, both on and off. Excuse me, as I sneeze on the truth. You know, in an era when you have lots of other quarterbacks or other people who just say weird stuff, engage in weird stuff, do things that are more than just weird and, quite frankly, awful or disgusting or not legal, right? And so you get all of the pros and positives with Dak, even just at the mic, he's never snarky, never says anything really overtly negative or combative. So he, on that side of the coin, he is worth all the money that you would pay him. But on the field, there are obviously limitations, right? And that is the problem when you pay someone like Dak Prescott. If you paid him the Kirk Cousins contract, the Baker Mayfield contract, like, then Dak Prescott would be an absolute grand slam, right? Then you could absolutely win. The problem is that, and this is what I'm always getting in the conversation with other Dallas Cowboys fans, they want to say that Dak is indeed the superhero, that he is indeed, top of the mountain. And it's like, well, then why hasn't he won, right? Why does he fail in the playoffs? And then that's when those same fans want to say, but the team. And it's like, well, you pay your quarterback to overcome some of those deficits. Not to mention, those were not deficits in the regular season. That's why they won 12 plus games season after season. So again, which is it? Is Dak unable to rise to the occasion when it actually matters? He can get the game-winning drive against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are clearly not that great of a team, but he's been incapable of doing it against really great teams that do consistently make it to NFC Championship games and Super Bowls. That is the fundamental problem that Dallas Cowboys fans refuse to reconcile with, right? Then they always want to blame everyone else. They want to blame the coaching. And it's like, well, Mike McCarthy, I thought, is the leader. He's a Super Bowl winner. He also led the Cowboys to 12 plus win seasons. Dak Prescott, his best seasons are under Mike McCarthy. So again, then they want to blame the defense. I thought the Cowboys had a top defense. I thought then they just forget how to play come time playoffs. Is that what you're saying? So no. So, this schedule is going to be really interesting for the Cowboys because, right, they're 3-2, and the Lions, that's going to be a really fascinating game. I'm excited for that. The 49ers, right? Question mark. Well, they seem to be a little disjointed right now. So how will that look? The Falcons, it seems like the Falcons are either set up to either just blow you out or just have an awesome game where everything's flying high with Kirk Cousins, or maybe not so. So I don't really know entirely who the Falcons are just yet. Same thing with the Eagles. Let's see how healthy the Eagles are, right? That could either be a really easy walk in the park game or a really difficult, tough game, especially because that first Eagles game is home. For the Cowboys, that is. The Texans, that should be a really hard game. And then the Commanders, see if they're still rolling. If the Commanders are still rolling, I mean, this is going to be weeks and weeks and weeks later, but if the Commanders are still rolling at this point, that's going to be really interesting as well. The Bengals, I don't know what the Bengals are playing for in week 14, right? Do they only have 2 wins, 3 wins? Are they just pretty much done? And now T. Higgins is shut down and Jamar Chase is all angry and Joe Burrow is just throwing to no one, right? It's like, I don't know who the Bengals are. The Panthers, there are the Panthers. The Buccaneers, they seem to have like kind of a little mini. The Buccaneers have somehow made a little rivalry with both the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think probably because of a few back-to-back years of playoff playing one another. So that'll be probably a tough physical game, and I assume the Buccaneers will be battling for the division. So will the Cowboys most likely. And then again, you're back with the Eagles and the Commanders, and so those final 2 games will be interesting as well because again, are both the Eagles and the Commanders fighting for divisions? Is Nick Sirianni still the head coach of the Eagles? Is Jaden Daniels still absolutely balling out? So it's just, it's just going to continue to be an interesting season that unfolds. And yeah, I mean, I could see so many of these games going either way. So We definitely got a fun future ahead. I think playing the Lions is going to be really interesting. That I'm really, really excited to see, because the Lions over the last couple of games seem to have really find their footing. So I'm curious to see what that offense looks like, as well as their defense isn't great, but it's really physical. And so I'm curious to see how the Cowboys handle that. And then of course they have the bye, so I don't know at that point what's going on with some of the injuries that the Cowboys have. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys? How far can Dak take the Cowboys? Do you agree with Colin that he's, just kind of the Green Lantern, and will never get a ring? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.